Hi, welcome back to One Voices. Today we'll be talking about our dating life and our experiences of being, stereotyped, hypersexualized or desexualized, and about our Asian American experiences about relationships as well.
Okay. I never really was in a relationship. I was in a situationship, I guess. But we were talking for basically since the beginning of freshman year, I guess. But then we really started to, really talk a lot more around end of freshman year, and then I guess he was my first kiss and whatever.
Aww.
But but I'm also not allowed to date, so everything was in secret, and it was really overwhelming to keep it private from my parents, because I do tell my parents a lot of things, and obviously I know that my parents will freak out if they will not accept it at all, because every time I had a guy friend, they literally told me to stop talking to him. So
I was gonna ask you about if you actually had ever talked to your parents,
yeah,
but if they were like that, you won't.
It's not possible.
Yeah, no.
And they got really mad. It was scary bad, but
Oh, wow.
so I kind of broke things off with him because I was really overwhelmed with keeping it a secret, and then also probably not fulfilling anything he wants because I can't see him that often. So there's that.
Yeah, I feel with the pressure of parents and school and dating and figuring things out at the same time, it's just a lot, especially if you live in a household where it's you shouldn't date until you're a certain age, until you're set, you know what you want to do. And yeah,
Is that how it's for you? You have to have your set?
well, I've never had any experience so I don't really know, but I have guy friends and I talk to them, but I've never had my parents be no, you can't talk to them. But I still feel it because I have an older sister, and she used to have a guy, and they talked a lot and he used to come over, and that feeling where you're oh, he shouldn't be here. It was always really weird because my sister and him would play badminton outside, and my dad would just be staring out the window.
Oh,
and I would see him from behind, and I was what are you doing? And he was oh, I'm making sure your sister is winning. And I was
Okay.
Yeah, but it's always I don't know, I always feel it down beneath that my parents wouldn't like it, and I feel it wouldn't be good for my future either. But at the same time, I feel it's good to use high school as your trial period.
True.
I don't know, figure things out.
I feel you.
Know your limits and
I think maybe I'm a bit conservative too, but my parents are completely fine. They actually welcome me and my sister to have a relationship, because it's experiences always helpful. Not there are some experiences that you know without actually experiencing it that the outcome would be bad, but there are some especially relationship, the way how you treat people, communicate with people, connect with the community. It's I think it's a really beneficial skill to learn, and my parents were never against it, but still maybe for you it might be too early. You can there are so many other this is not end of the thing really. I'm beginning too, if I go to college and everything, there's a whole new life just beginning, and you're gonna have more opportunities to have such relationships. And for me especially, as an actual immigrant, after going through the process of assimilation, although it's not 100% assimilation, but I used to not like English because it always really prevented me from fully expressing my thoughts. I was not in the level to actually speak what I want to speak. So even with the people, I was not myself when I was communicating with my friends. But after gaining some English skills, for me, I think like I've not like a relation, like official relationship, but like something every quarter minimum. And I'm really careful when I'm like, I'm like the person who's like really silent, like silently doing any like the people do.
Something.
Not like I was never in a relationship. I was never in a relationship. It was just like more than a friend thing. But the way how I approach people is that, you know, like the mere exposure effect, when like intimacy is really dependent on like how often you see a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's like a, for me, when I'm like choosing like the people, targeting almost. Reachable goal. Or like, for example, if I know that I won't be able to really like be in a relationship, I just don't try. I become really comfortable in like talking. I play jokes and like, yeah, I'm like very chill, but maybe I think it's all boys. I'm not sure about girls, but boys tend to be really like timid and like nervous when they encounter the people that they like.
Well, my parents, like, they don't really have necessarily a problem with me dating. Maybe before me and my boyfriend, like, started, I don't really know. They've had, like, those jokes, they're like, you're not allowed to date until, like, you're 30 or something. But they never, when I told them I had a boyfriend, they didn't, like, close me off or anything.
So, like, for me, I'm more like, I'm hoping that my future partner has some kind of like Korean skill, although they may not be able to speak. They may be able to understand what I'm saying because I'm more comfortable and more genuine when I'm speaking in Korean. So that's like one of my concerns.
That makes sense, yeah. I guess another concern for me is like, I'm scared that when someone like likes me, they like me because I'm Asian, like they're like fetishizing me, like especially like guys who like watch anime sometimes. They like, I'm like, and they like say they like me. I'm like scared that they're like they watch anime, they want like matching. I'm like, I don't know, like my like ex situation thing. Like he watched anime, but he was like respectful, so I think it was fine. I don't think he liked me just because I was Asian, but like at the same time, I like never know, so I don't even know.
It's like insecure, you know.
Yeah.
I have like a friend who's Asian, and she kind of experienced like the same type of thing, where this guy like asked her out and they started dating, but he watched like anime and stuff, and he like listened to like a bunch of Japanese music, and she was like Japanese, and then they dated for like a month. And then the girl was like, the guy isn't really doing anything. Like, they're just like having the name of like girlfriend and boyfriend, but they never like actually do anything together. And then, yeah, I feel like that's like a type of situation where it's like you're only dating someone because of their like heredity.
I think one of my concerns with race, like, because right now my boyfriend, he's white, and one of my concerns wasn't necessarily that he's dating me because I'm Asian, but it was more of like what his parents would think, or like his family when I met them. I was scared that they'd treat me like differently or see me as differently because I'm Asian and they're white. And at first it was like really scary because, especially in like a predominantly white school, I felt like it would be weird for him if he like brought home an Asian girl or something. So I was like insecure about that too. And yeah,
I mean, we have like sense of guiltiness, although we don't need it by all means.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Like another red flag is when like they like rush things, like like don't take things like super slow, like the person you were just talking about, but like also don't like rush things. Don't like just get to know person.
Oh yeah. Also, I don't like people that like kind of like see a person and then they talk to them for like a day and then they instantly get in a relationship. I feel like for me it would be like you would want to become their friend before and like talk to them, get to know who they are as a person, and then kind of move on into that stage. Like I don't want to instantly just
Right. I mean, definitely knowing a person is really important. I think it's a really, really important step. The way how I do it is, like for about like 2 weeks, I really try to be with the person as much as possible to know who this person is. And if I finish like, not like evaluating, but if I have like, oh, this is a good person, then
It's like personality, 1
It
to
might.
10.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about like any stereotypes that like you or any like a person you know have experienced? But like thinking about the beauty standards, especially on like Asian Americans,
Yeah.
like historically in America, like a lot of like Asian women particularly were hypersexualized, you know, like as a war prostitute, you know, and like even looking at the Page Act.
The Page Act? Oh. So, like, when, in, like, 1875, the 1875 Page Act, a lot of, like, Asian women were profiled as prostitutes, and there was, like, a law that if you're a prostitute, you can't come into America. So, a lot of Asian women weren't allowed to come into America just because of that, like, profile. But that, like, also forced a lot of Asian men not to be able to start families because, like, Asian men, Chinese men, like, they weren't allowed to marry white people. And that also, like, is part of the reason for the demasculization of Asian men. Because they weren't, like, able to start families.
Yeah, like for men, like in the intro I mentioned about the desexualization of Asian male, about like being not as muscular and active as other, you know, Western people. Not tan, like, you know, like even like the beauty standard too, like we don't like being in sun as much. And the small genital. Yeah, anything?
I've gotten like Indian girls are hairy and stuff, and that's like a turn off. I've gotten that
Okay.
before, or I've gotten that they're smelly. I've gotten those two.
Some prejudice. Yeah.
Because we have a lot of spices and stuff,
Yeah.
so like.
I like it actually, like those spiciness.
We smell good.
Spice,
I
yeah.
promise we
They
don't
do
smell
smell
that.
good. Like,
Yeah, but I've gotten hairy a lot before. Whether it's like in a dating type way or like friend way. Yeah. But I feel like the beauty like products that are sold in India are like promoting having paler skin, white skin, like like yeah, just white skin. I've gotten Indian products before and they're all like Indian models that aren't even Indian. Like they'll come from like Canada and he'll be like,
I think it also indicates like the class system, like the higher, the wealthier you are, you know, you have more privilege than the other lower class people who usually like, you know, make money from like physical work. I'm like, you know, yeah, it's like,
Like being tanner was being.
yeah, like being tan and out in the sun.
yeah. I always like get confused like what looks good, what doesn't, because then like I get tan pretty easily. So then whenever I like get tan like on vacation, my mom's like, "Oh, you got so dark," and I'm like,
yeah.
and then it's like it's not as pretty anymore, and I'm like, what? Okay. But then whenever I go to school and they see my tan, they'll be like, "Oh my god, you got a tan," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Literally right. That's literally a famous like actress and stuff. And
God.
they're not. How am I supposed to?
No,
I don't
but
get
like
it.
it's hard when the people that look like you are gonna have like a certain type of beauty standard where they're like paler and like thinner, but then you're like in America, so the beauty standards are different there as well. So even though it might look pretty in Asia and you do it to yourself, it's not going to be the same beauty standards as in America.
Right, like my body size, I think I'm like pretty average, but like if I'm like in China, I'd be considered like bigger, I guess. And like with like I don't know, sometimes it's just annoying because my grandparents be like, oh, like I don't think they mean any harm, but they're like, oh, you got big. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, thanks. Oh.
It's like both ways. I don't know how to word this. Okay, so I was casually sitting around one day, and my mom comes to me with like a bag of makeup, and she brings it to me, and I was like really happy because I've always wanted makeup. My mom got me makeup brushes like the birthday before, and I was super excited. And when I opened the makeup bag, I just see like this super white powder, and I was like, whoa, like that's, and then I put it on, and it's like super white on me, and I don't know if it's like she doesn't know my skin tone, or it's like it's trying to be like whiter, but it was like really pale, and yeah, it was really funny though. I remember like showing everyone here, and it was literally like 5 shades lighter than my tone. It was, but I don't think, and then we would like one again, and we got another shade, but I just find that kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't know if she did it on purpose. I don't think she did. She definitely didn't. But especially since she's like a whiter tone than me, like I'm a little darker. I think she was just like going based off of herself, but still like.
Yeah, K-pop, K-drama, just bringing it out for the beauty standard thing. Definitely in Korea too. Like for boys especially, those interest in beauty products have increased, but I have a foundation which I tested in like the store and bought one for testing, but I'm like too lazy to do it in the morning and also like clean it, so like carefully cleanse them. I don't know how to explain, but yeah, so for me, about like the beauty standard, like not only for women but also for men, like Asian men are also like skinnier than, like I think it's like genetic thing too, like the bones and like the size is different, and I mean historically too, like skinnier women were more preferred, like smaller shoes for example, but like for me, I think I'm like mediocre because I was like, although I was born in Korea and like I spent my adolescence in the United States, my beauty standard, I think like natural is like the best thing, like just being who you are, because I think besides just like being like beautiful on the beauty standard, like there are some charm that individual people have on their own, and kind of like manifesting more on your own advantage, like talents and your own beauty. And I think that's like a good approach to
personality.
Personality, to just like being holistic and genuine, authentic you.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like once called, like some guy said like I was the prettiest Asian in the grade, and I'm like, thanks. That was like, I don't even know. It was like weird.
There's like a total of 3 Asians in there. Thank you.
It's like, thanks.
So, what do you think about like our mental health? Like how should we improve our mental health? Despite all these pressures being upon us.
I don't need a guy to make me feel better. I'm independent. Actually, I don't know.
Don't feed off that male validation.
Yeah.
But actually, I kind of did. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't. I feel
Like,
like
I don't know what you're saying. Like
I've never experienced anything, so I don't know what to say.
I used at the beginning of my relationship, my mental health was bad. Not because of like anything he did, but just because I kept thinking like, what if he doesn't think I'm like actually pretty compared to, like, what if he just likes white girls and he's just using me or something? Even though it's obviously not the case, but I used to get so insecure because I'm Asian and like our school's predominantly white. So, but then I just realized like he does like me, like it's who I am. I'm Asian. Like I should be proud of it. I shouldn't be trying to hide it. It shouldn't be an insecurity that I'm Asian. It should just be like.
And yeah, I mean, for me, I used to have like a low self-esteem. I still kind of do. Like I think it's like a natural ambition for human being to be attractive, like in a good way, like to be loved by people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I kind of like burned that, you know, low self-esteem into like action. Like I get, you know, encouragement from it. Like I'm gonna catch you up, boy. I'm gonna be muscular. I'm gonna
Motivation.
motivating me. So yeah, I mean, there are gonna be like different ways to cope with this, but for sure, being you is really the best thing you could do.
Right. Like I have a lot of like body image issues and like just like insecurities and stuff, but I think it's also really important to just note that you're more than what you just like look like. You also are like your personality. It's like all important, all adds up. So even if you don't think like you're necessarily beautiful, you are in some way or another. So like it is what it is.
So I watched this comedian called Hassan Minhaj, and he held like a homecoming stand-up comedy type thing, and over there he's I think he's Indian. No, Pakistani. One of the two. I don't really remember, but he's Asian, and he was talking. So in high school, he had this love interest, and they would talk a lot, and they were planning on going to prom together. However, he wasn't allowed to go to prom, so he snuck out of the house and went to her house. And once he reached her house, she was there with like another guy that was white, and she was white. And the reason that he wasn't going to go to prom with her was apparently because he wouldn't look good in the pictures. And that was the reason. He is Indian.
Yeah. Maybe.
So,
yeah.
No, I'm done.
I think I watched it. I think it was also like the parent thing, like when, like the girl's parents didn't want him in their prom photos,
Yeah,
and it had nothing
they
to
did.
do with like
It was like clashing. Wouldn't look good.
flashing.
And then like 10 years later, she had a significant other that she got married to, who was Indian. And then I remember he was talking about like he was now a famous stand-up comedian, and she came to one of his shows and she was like, "Can we take a picture together?" And he was like, "Oh, but don't I like not look good in the pictures or something?"
Ooh.
It's like 10 year.
So like
What's the word? 10 year revenge? 10 year grudge. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, you can go now.
Yeah, I mean, really perceiving who you are, like the perceiver is really, I think, it should be you instead of the other, like really, instead of really depicting yourself and the views of others. Kind of like expressing who you are as you, and I think that's like
I don't really think it means like a significant other. It can also be like friends. I have, and also of course yourself, but I have a lot of friends who are either bisexual or fully lesbian, and we had what what happened?
no.
Oh, okay. So they're either bisexual or lesbian, and recently, like me and these other two girls, they were twins. We both were introduced to like a new friend group, and they're both like East Asian, and all of the people in that friend group started like liking them, and started like complimenting how pretty they were, complimenting how like their personalities were amazing, how they looked hot every day, their fashion sense. And I don't know, since we all were like a trio and we always used to hang out with each other, and then both of them got so many compliments, and then whenever it came to me, people would do like that iMessages dislike, and I would be like, no, it was so bad. And then my self-confidence really dropped, like it was really bad. I don't know, it's like, it's still kind of like that, but I don't know, I'm kind of learning to accept it in a way. I have like this one friend, she's a really good friend, and she's like helping me through it, but it's really hard because I feel like I'm losing these two friends alongside it, just because I don't know. I feel like I'm not, like, I don't have enough personality. I don't, like, I'm not pretty enough or something like that.
So yeah, I mean, if it gets to like relationships, what? I think if it's like,
The all soundtracks. Aww.
yeah, so about like the relationship, it's like, it's a completely different story. Not like, I think relationship has to be based upon like empathy and like genuine love, and that's like enduring, accepting, really, it's patience. That like this kind of beauty standard shouldn't be a thing, really. So yeah, I mean, we do, you know, in our teen years, we acknowledge the pressure as, you know, a social being and social interactions, and yeah, we like, especially with the way Asian Americans are perceived in a negative way, we acknowledge it and we try to cope with it. But I hope one day everybody will be accepted just the way they are and be loved.
You need to find like your person.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very true.
There's a lot of people that you can't be friends with and you can't have a relationship with them, but sometimes it's for the better.
Yeah.
You need to find the person that likes you for who you are and not you for like who you try to be. Because I remember like in this scenario, I would try to be more like these people because they were like, oh yeah, she's like super like bossy and she wears like this types of clothes, and I was like, if I was that way, do you guys like me better? And then I kind of realized that I shouldn't change myself just to be liked better.
That's
and then I found like 2 people, and I feel like like in my scenario, it's not about the number of friends you have, it's about like the quality of friends.
Quality of quantity.
Like these people are like a friend group of literally 15 people, and I don't know, it's just, yeah, I don't like being in it because I always get like attacked even if I don't even say anything. It's so bad.
Sometimes like I don't have like a huge number of friends, and sometimes like, oh, I have no friends, but like at the same time I also like I realize that I have like the friends that I do have, like they're like genuine friends. They genuinely love me for who I am, so I should be appreciative of that. So, and then I'm like, you know what, it's fine, I don't need a lot of friends as long as I have like the people that I care about.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's really important to note that the reason behind like all of our insecurities and stuff is just because we're not really represented enough in our American history. So we just feel like we're kind of on the outside. We don't really know where to fit.
Yeah, like it feels like as if we don't belong, but I think it's important to realize that even though we all have our own insecurities, they don't define us, and everyone should feel loved because we're all beautiful in our own ways. And yeah, thank you for listening to our podcast.
Bye.